The stars crash to the ground. Someone lifts a head from the pristine white debris scattered all over the floor.
What's the matter, Control? You were faster before. Since you weren't able to kill me, I'll launch my counteroffensive. Don't blink.
The star struck down by Saria reflowed, getting off on a new trajectory. Christian's fingers flick to the side. Saria's legs suddenly feel 1,000 times heavier.
The gravity shifted? You use this trick to send Mulesies away, but it won't work on me.
Enamel grows beneath Saria's feet like a pair of heavy-duty boots, holding her in place. And then she begins to move forward, step by step.
Instead of refining the way you generate calcium particles, you simply increase the release speed. The animal you're generating has gotten even more brittle.
A hardy resistance isn't enough to cross the finish line.
A metal planet shatters the enamel barrier, hitting Saria on her shoulder. Saria does not cease her advance. It happens twice and then thrice. Saria continues to speed up.
Saria, stop.
Stop. That's what I said to you.
I can tell you all about my plans.
I know.
Then why do you insist on stopping me? There will be no other victims in this plan. I just
wanted to set off some harmless fireworks over the skies of Tri-Mounts. The moment Hammer finishes its job, both the military and Mainlander will breathe a sigh of relief. The residents of Tri-Mounts will be momentarily captivated by the spectacle unfolding before them in the sky, but soon enough their focus will be directed towards other, more deserving concerns. Rhinelab might be the most affected party here. She will lose her control, possibly several directors, and the confidence of powerful Colombian organizations.
Then you should have stayed on the ground. Clean up the mess, protect those who might be hurt by this, and carry a Rhinelab through the crisis. You've always been good at that.
You forgot again. I resigned. A long time ago. People like Blake like to call scientists mad.
And we couldn't care any less.
But science is supposed to be rational. Kristen, when I first heard the story of your parents, I thought they shouldn't have seen an ending like that. They hadn't perished in that accident and have returned before hitting the barrier. They would have brought back incomparably precious data, as well as the possibility of a second attempt.
You obviously.
I admire their will and determination, but I've never been one to approve of sacrifice, even justified and inevitable. Ferdinand, Nasty, Harvest. They and many others always thought me too conservative. They see me as a stickler for rules, obstructing all of you. Huh. Can a woman like this even be called a scientist? Even I myself have asked this question.
You're the most dedicated truth seeker I know.
The truth. Truth is the inertia that comes after order. I believe science can bring us truth, and truth can restrain madness, bringing about a better society for everyone. Us Voivers have always been accompanied by an instinctive madness for as long as we can remember. Violence, savagery. We took an extremely long time just to step out of that chaotic darkness. That's what I have been taught ever since I was small. It is reason to control myself and desperately want to confront the madness I see in all of you.
But you can't do it. Saria, if you intend to hold on to Rhinelab but you're lonesome, you are sure to be disappointed. Because humanity's thirst for progress is inherently undefeatable. A type of desire, a type of madness, but also a natural instinct and the fuel that has brought us from the desolate barren lands to where we stand.
Which is why I've come here, and not for a fight.
The heavy stars fall on her like a rock slide, and gravity controls the airflow to howl at her entire body. Calcium crystals crumble from head to toe, but the mountaineer is determined to greet the storm with her own form.
Kristen, I almost admitted my own defeat while searching for you, until someone said to me that I should return to my origin. So on my way here, I've been looking back at where we all started. Yes, I dread losing control, but it's not a fear of chaos, but a fear of regression caused by it. So I must progress onward, as humanity must. Because for us, the trek is far from over.
Indeed, to this day, humanity still lives in the dark. After all, We can't even see through the sky hanging over our heads.
The road is long, very, very long. We hold more knowledge than the average bystander, so we must shoulder heavier responsibilities. We should ahead of them, eliminate any dangers, and carefully lead them on the path forward. A real pioneer should be clearing the way for all humanity, instead of jumping headfirst into the abyss, never to return. That is my foundation, and I will stand by it. Caught you.
She has weathered the storm. She crossed the galaxy. The final calcium crystal spread from one palm to the back of another, and the metal exoskeleton begins to tremble. The synthetic stars ceaselessly revolve around the two in unison. Everything else around them has sunk into chaos as a result of their arts colliding and destroying each other. Only the Protector's will remains unshaken as the Earth.
You're always slightly late.
And you're always slightly early. Been waiting long, Calcit?
Not really. I thought you would be next. You're like a macrocosm of everything that happened in Ursus. I'm sorry. I really am.
Sorry? For what? You know my husband and I are already doomed when we made our decision at the Research Institute. You're not the type to get depressed. No. Perhaps you might have even become more depressed in the last century.
No. I hold regrets, and maybe even remorse towards your story, but not much sorrow. I'm talking about your daughter. Fulnik doesn't live in the better era that you wished for. An era where hate and violence have been forgotten. The same goes for Lunmelia. Like I said, you're like a macrocosm, Lilia. You and Fulnik have an unbreakable bond formed of hatred and blood. A macrocosm. I've seen it many a time, a futile destruction.
Sounds like you're tired. You weren't created to be a savior. You can't level a mountain with a finger, or destroy a city with your eyes. Just what kind of plebeian would hope that you were invincible? Do those fools think they could uphold a civilization teetering on the edge of collapse with just violence?
There might be some with such a hope. They hope that I can bring them a future. Hope to survive in my country. Hope for a victory under my command.
You failed them. Because you're just Calcit.
Our conversation has yielded no answers.
Yes, you've admitted it. You're tired. But why? You're always on the path of avoiding their self-destruction. But the power you hold is just that minuscule. There's no way you can teleport from Victoria to Ursus, or monitor every Sarkaz on Terra to see what dangerous witchcraft they're delving into this time. Whatever you do just grows more and more futile. So you're starting to get impatient, right? And especially with...
I know.
You already know what you're afraid of. Yet, you're still able to keep yourself from thinking about it. Not letting Theresa and Theresa's appear in front of you, even your subconsciousness is practically begging for it. The same goes for your own determination, Calcit. You think people will treat you gently, and so that pair of siblings won't talk to you like this. How strange. You were so cold before that I never imagined you would seek the warmth of others. From such a perspective, you really have become weak. Spring is chilly here. I'll catch a cold soon if I stay out any longer. We should go somewhere with a warmer spring. Shall we go inside?
Sure. Snow?
A rare outsider. Are you heading for the Sacred Mountain? Pilgrims as young as you rarely make it up here. But aren't you continuing your ascent? Legs got frostbite?
Sacred Mountain? A winged Chirag?
Yeah, right. Where is that? Is that where you're from?
I wouldn't consider it as such. It's one of the most spectacular mountains on Terra. I once saw a group of destitute refugees settle and rebuild their life in that paradise free of catastrophe.
Oh, it must be a beautiful place then. Terra, it sounds so small. That's where you're from?
Yes. I come from Terra. And you?
Towards the mountain? We're born with this one goal.
Born with it?
We frolic among the trees on the mossy plains in our youth, and learn from the rocks. In our prime, we've been climbing the mountain. We did so crouch groundwork at the foot of the mountain, weaving strands of dawnlight into ropes, or preparing a pair of shoes that won't be contaminated by the darkness of the night. And then, we begin climbing the mountain. The road is long and full of obstacles, and we only harvest resources from the valleys. Fortunately for us, the sacred mountain is merciful and feeds us with death, so we dedicate our long lives to this mountain path in return.
It must be an exhausting journey, coming all the way here.
Exhausting? No. The snow does not mourn its melting. This is all from the self-flattering efforts of others, while we are just climbers.
What is this sacred mountain called? And what should I call you?
This mountain is called Time, and us? We're just insignificant lives. Time is such a grand thing, isn't it? We should be well aware of this.
Will the mountain change? Has anyone reached the summit?
I don't know. What I mean by that is... maybe. Try shouting at a piece of time. The response you receive is a gift from the sacred mountain. Time will not give you an automatic answer, but it will respond. Our predecessors called this response fate. And fate is the echoes of the cries of life. Have you ever done this before? Well, it seems like there will be a blizzard tonight. I should go prepare dinner and find a place to set up camp. Do you need a place to rest? We can go together, girl.
Sure, old man. I would like to know, what's there to fill your stomach?
Perhaps we'll be having the spare child. Maybe you can finish your prayers before dinner. Do your shouting before the blizzard blots everything from sight. Louder!
You will become yourself. Calcid, your judgment is rational. For this, I feel sorry.
Sorry for what? It's only myself.
Because I am your time. I single-handedly cause your distrust towards humanity, your pessimism, your dismay, and your impatience with no way out. However, from her and on her, you saw a possibility. Out of your tendency to be overly cautious and anxious, you suspect that this feeling is merely a misjudgment caused by your irritation. After all, the world is breaking out of your knowledge and control, and the new you was only born not long ago. And yet, you've considered it many times before. How much easier it would be if you chose to trust him instead. I am your time, Calcid, you omniscient fool. You forget the little details. You're not a chosen savior. You should not be. You're not always right either.
Even if you've already made up your mind, you know better than anyone else how limited time is, and there isn't much left. You should try giving up and choose to trust someone you can believe in. You are not trusted because you are Calcid, nor do you become Calcid because you are trusted. You are the echoes of a valley, water dripping off a cliff. Your responsibilities weigh beyond what your abilities can bear, and now at least, there are people to share these responsibilities with. What you have lost and gained in this short period of the past few centuries far exceeds your former days. So long they were that you could only use for progression and evolution. Everything is about to end, Calcid, and you know this. Will you stay your passivity, your pessimism, your apathy? Don't forget your original question. Don't forget the answer that you nearly had. Go on, aim at 10. The meaning of your existence is more than you yourself.
Let's stop here.
Indeed. This is enough.
And the doctor?
calming down elsewhere, I do intend to spend some time with you alone. I have a question for you. AMA-10. Calcit for the past 10,000 years. Have you really lived on this land?
Yes.
It seems you've changed quite a lot. We haven't interacted much, but you shouldn't be your current self. What did you choose?
I've seen war lasting several millennia, the rise and coexisting of nations, and the people growing from their misunderstandings and conflicts. But in the end, they all scattered to the wind just like the sands of Sargon. But in the blink of an eye, history has already given birth to new children. I've seen the cycle repeat too many times. The cycle itself looms large and weighs heavy, and I'm fully aware that time is running out. And then, I ran into a unique opportunity. I once met two chicas. We're closer than any creature in any era to the truth of continuing civilization.
But now, you are all so fragile as the trash on an asteroid belt. So how can you possibly talk of continuing? Wait, are you saying the Black Crown still remains on Terra?
The Lords of Fiends, as the ancient Tikas called it.
Because those odd endemic life forms. What a fluke. I had thought it would have been left behind on the Black Crown. I dislike the shape it takes on the physical plane. A crown leaves a bad taste. A crown points to royalty. This ancient imagery implies power in this downward trend of collapse, with a misunderstanding over ideology and race push surface civilization towards self-destruction within an extravagant mirage of peace and unity. The most direct method should be to use those powers to reshape the will of all living beings and fuse them into a singular form. What can a false leader made of memories, emotions, and knowledge even achieve?
Don't underestimate us.
Doctor, are you alright?
Just needed a breather.
Perhaps I have underestimated you, but that does not affect the ending already set in stone. You want me to believe that such a tiny piece of heritage is enough to change fate?
Heritage is humanity's soul's achievement ever since our ancient ancestors learned to use tools and fire. Knowledge, culture, history. So-called civilization is nothing more than that. There will be a day when the Black Crown will no longer belong to Amia alone, and we will have to fight to survive, no matter who the enemy is.
You have chosen to fight for Terra. This is what you're decided. With this body, this identity, you are different from Kristen and her kind. Your struggles far from your original intent.
Even Rhode Island Reserve's Ops knows the difference between fighting for themselves and fighting for others. And we've all done our preparations. This great land of Terra is where I grew up. I'm an employee of Rhode Island, a part of the ship sailing on the land called Terra.
Infected is just too trivial a proposition. However, infected Originium. Then what about you, Doctor?
I am an employee of Rhodes Island.
I also have a question for you, Trevor Friston. How has your time been in this equally long period of time?
The perturbation system has been lifted. Kristen, tell me how to stop the energy accumulation, and where exactly does the energy come from?
This will be an extremely long story.
I will try to crack the Galaria's control panel before I'm done listening.
Saria, you know, the history of this land is far longer than most realize. I believe every generation produces its own skeptics, just like my parents and I. Have our ventures really been completely fruitless? And was there perhaps a more ancient point in time that the sky hanging over us was not as we see it today?
I remember. It was one of the establishing goals of Rhine Lab's scientific investigations section.
Conventional exploration alone has provided me with plenty of interesting information. After you left Rhine, I picked up some interests I had previously and tried leaving the laboratory, heading to various corners of the world that mankind has scarcely set foot on. The purpose of these journeys was not to observe the sky. The stars are not worth looking at. I came to this conclusion early on after countless calculations. I only wanted to try and find more collaborators.
Since the last Withanian arts detector orb fell short at 500 meters below the barrier, the academic circles in most countries abandoned their research into the thing.
So what I've been looking for, a voice that doesn't belong to this era.
Like the immortals who rely on originium arts to escape the shackles of life, the Fahrenmuts older than any country.
Perhaps even older than those regarded as gods, a being so old that history has forgotten them. Before I set off on my journey, I had no idea what I was going to find. I just felt a calling across time and space directing me toward that door.
And what was inside the door?
Everything. I found the answers to all my questions. How we managed to trek across history to make it here, about the land's unexplored secrets and about the myriad of possibilities for our future. But at the same time, I also saw the end of a civilization and a spirit abandoned by time.
Time is nothing but a vile joke at the end of the world, when the seas dried up and the rocks rotted away as everything changed. I hid in this grim bunker, repeating a futile act, shouting into the void. My words permeated every moon and space itself, every tunnel and corner of the stars. The universe did not respond to me. I prayed to the pitch black despair for tens of thousands of years, and the only thing I heard in return was the reverberations of destruction. Whenever I longed for a survivor's response, the sound of collapse and rays of occupied light still lingering among the stars would emerge. It was a black hole of futile effort. My emotions were far beyond what any regular life form would ever experience or empathize with. In the endless silence, all I could hear was the heartbeats of my people, growing ever weaker, but their dormant hearts should not have been beating at all. Nightmares cannot jolt me awake because it is impossible for me to sleep. I hate myself for having these emotions. I wish I could operate like a pure machine. I hate the other me that assigned me a fate like this. I knew very well the plan had already concluded. The energy in these sarcophagi was not enough to power the next stage of recovery in our plans. Soon after, I was swept into the nothingness, endless and numb.
So the contact with Kristen offered you a gamble. Since your people could never wake up, you might as well.
No. The first time I saw that humanoid creature, what I felt was surprise. I've been watching the depths of space far, far away, not what happened on the surface. I noticed the growth of life, but never expected it to knock on my door. We spent a long time talking, though in reality it was no longer than a few months. Kristen fired question after question, as if she was meeting a manifestation of truth, and remarkably every topic would send her into a long period of reflection and silence, instead of satisfying her thirst for knowledge. She catalyzed an idea, but she didn't voice it herself. Kristen refused to be the one to execute the plan.
Wasn't she just using Rhine Lab to achieve her goals?
She believes that someday this land will need a group that can separate themselves from politics and unite as a people. This far-sighted group would have to employ everything at their disposal to build an ark. The pioneers would inevitably face the struggle of understanding, would face division and suffering.
But reality is not myth, as Bible has proven.
So, what is Rhodes Island to you if you hold no hope for all of this?
You're right about that. We can discuss this so-called hope.
Kristen's little helpers have already begun fiddling with the sarcophagus technology. I have no qualms with it, but this must mean something important for Terra. Use it well. Kristen's political views are not without a few flaws.
Locken's research has effectively been put under control. I cannot possibly trust Columbia as a nation, but there is someone behind the Melander Foundation that is worth negotiating with.
That is good. And then, tell me, are the deep sea dwelling Aegir really so different from the civilizations on land?
What I can tell you far surpasses whatever Kristen has told you.
Indeed, I cannot comprehend why these creatures with bodily structures inadequately suited to survive in the deep sea would establish a civilization in the ocean, but this suggests they depend on some product of the seafloor. The form of their civilization has been distorted by external forces, making them stronger, but also causing problems. Aegir is a settlement that must be united, regardless of the problems caused by those rampant sea monsters. I believe that's what they are called. Terra cannot leave such a developed nation alone, considering that their approximate geographical location, and if they use what they might have in abundance appropriately. My guess is that what Kristen is doing right now is not necessarily out of the Aegir's reach.
With strength comes arrogance. Aegir is not so easy to persuade. Though fortunately, due to a series of incidents, I have had the good fortune to establish a precious friendship with some Aegir. This will be an impactful breakthrough. Since a profound silence, Aegir can no longer remain silent.
Gladia.
Excellent. The March of the Knights Mora basically only exists as a legend in the databases of CohakuIntheCloset, with no decent historical texts to refer to. But if the legendary event was not in fact a falsehood, then he is indeed an incredible hero. Even if we take Originium as the power source, the fact that such a tyrant, born on Terra thousands of years ago, could achieve such a great feat in a much more primitive environment does inspire wonder. However, the south is already in ruins, so you should look north. Have you been there?
Sammy?
No, even further north. At the ends of the endless ice field. I've tried many times, but I've yet to find anything with the limits of my own abilities.
But you know what's over there?
I do.
So don't ignore the door that lies there. Push it open when you need to, and it will show you a boundless vista.
Just pushing that door is already far beyond what most are capable of.
And so it is up to all of you to find a way. The land is vast, and civilization continues to advance. So surely there is more than one Kristen.
You seem to trust the denizens of this land more than I previously thought.
Rust, I hand the tinder to you. I have given up everything on my end. Whether or not you can succeed, nothing can be changed. This is my failure. Trust? Yes. I do not know. Perhaps I just want to see any life form able to converse and interact with one another to continue existing. You know this. Compared with the problems on the distant horizon, there is something that could happen at any moment. War. Even if I look only through the eyes of Columbia, I sense the imminent danger to your world, and the fire that can ignite at any time. You will require preparations. Do what you must to extinguish the flame, or to let it produce new life. this is your choice to make. Those who are truly able to save the denizens of Terra are always and only themselves. This need for awakening has not changed since time immemorial, because it is all part of what humanity is.
We will discover the truth.
The sky is about to be opened, but the barrier will soon heal itself. Perhaps it will take a few days, or months, or years, but the people of Terra will take that limited, voracious scene into their eyes, and will keep the moonlight and the distant planets in their memories. I hope, Kristen hopes, that this will be a powerful signal, a signal to herald the next great age.
Saria, would you like to gaze at the stars together, just like we did before?
We can talk about this after we descend.
The starry sky, or more precisely, what we gaze at is a barrier. The star pod. There's still 1,000 meters to go. Our current position is already near the limit of humanity's touch.
The ionization response is too strong. At this height, the instruments can't operate with all the interference. The control panel is completely useless. I should have known. You have no intention of letting AriaraShii last much longer.
Yes, it has to last until I break the barrier.
The barrier. We have always been inclined towards the usage of a barrier. You're well aware that the shape of it is more than just a barrier, as per conjecture. It might not even be a barrier at all, but an extremely wide space. It might even lack endpoints. The 6,000 meters, what we understand is normal airspace, is actually abnormal. And in that case, breaking it was never an option.
It can indeed be broken.
You've never once doubted it.
6,972 meters. If you fly straight up at this angle, as long as you can soar past that height, the AriaraShii will no longer be disturbed by any ionization reactions.
Fine, so you have credible data from that spirit, but this doesn't reduce the danger of exploring the skies at all. No, even if we assume the barrier is enveloping the land like a membrane, as you say, it means we know less than nothing about the space beyond it. This makes our actions even more hazardous. We could even bring disaster upon this land.
I know.
People are simply inadequately prepared for this.
There will never be adequate preparation. If there is indeed a calamity looming over us, then humanity is already living under a ticking clock.
If that's the case, then we should be even more
cautious, right? Saria, I believe there will come a day when a much more complete exploration team will be formed, and with more data and full support, they will enter into the depths of space before our very eyes. This is also the future I hope for.
But you yourself are not in this future of yours.
True. I'm ill-suited to be called a pioneer. On that point, I fully agree with your view. If possible, I would prefer to become a starting point. Just like once, back when, I've watched the light of those flames burning in the sky. That was the last thing my parents left me. A starting point.
Where's the closest escape pod?
None left. Those with the capability to execute a return module are already gone.
Alright, then hold on to me. I will wrap the both of us in calcification. We might not even have a chance at survival, but we can try.
Saria, lower your gaze.
What?
You're the one who didn't look down this time.
The gravity abruptly shifts without warning, and Saria feels only space beneath her feet. She did not expect Christian to set up an emergency escape door at the AriaraShii center. No, Saria thinks to herself, she should have expected it long before. This door is not for the owner of the planetarium. Christian knew that at the very last moment, Saria would come. The sudden change of mass robs Saria of her voice, and she fails to yell out anything at all. She also knows that there is nothing she can grab, but still stretched her hand out. Starlight and Earth pour into her view, while Christian only gets further and further away.
Saria, you always wanted me to take a good look at the world. Now I have. It is equally beautiful. You will watch it and the people it nurtures in my stead. This I always knew. Just as you have in the past and will in the future. And I'm not the type to lead people on step by step. I am just a pair of eyes. Eyes that will peer into the unfamiliar depths of space for all that live on that land. For instance, I can almost see the true starry sky. It probably hasn't changed much from what you've told me. In over 10,000 years. Me and you, our civilization and yours. On the scale of the universe, we really are insignificantly small.
A torrent of energy pounds the accumulated area of this giant airborne construct, and the ring hovering up high looks almost swallowed by the tremendous amount of energy. Immediately afterwards, an even greater amount concentrates at its core, enough to destroy any massive nomadic city. And this world is just so puny and shallow. How could it ever bear it? The light converges and abandons the earth, stabbing upwards into the air. Under the unprecedented energy surge, wave after wave of dazzling ripples emerge on the pitch-black curtain, devoid of any life. The false sky is at last rent asunder. The ancient twin moons expose their real faces. Tonight, the truth will be perceived by humanity for the very first time.